Hello, class. My name is Laura Brown.
And I'm Kristen Adams, and this is our presentation on violence and the exchange theory.
And we're going to start talking about what is the exchange theory. And exchange theory is based on choices and relationships are evaluated based on the rewards minus the cost. What is in this relationship for me? Some of the assumptions that we find in this theory is people are motivated by self-interest, individuals are constrained by the choices, and interacting with others, individuals are seeking to maximize their rewards while minimize their cost. And humans are rational beings and have the intellectual ability to calculate the ratio of rewards to cost. This means that we can see the equity in our relationship. Interdependence and reciprocity, all parties must expect some rewards to continue the relationship or interaction. And we're gonna watch a video about domestic violence. Domestic violence is one of the practices that we can evaluate with the exchange theory.
Shut your mouth! Shut your mouth!
Hard to watch, isn't it?
You're sorry?
Does this make it easier?
How sorry are you again, huh?
How about this?
How stupid you are!
Maybe you should just look
how
away.
How stupid are you? Tell me how stupid you are! I don't want to hear it.
Is that better? It's hard to watch.
So a few interesting statistics about the dynamics of family violence. 85% of domestic violence victims are women. Most cases of domestic violence are never reported to the police, whether that's out of shame or fear or just the culture of police in an area, just how people feel about them. 50% of victims were physically abused before the marriage began. Boys who witness abuse in the home are 2 times more likely to become abusers themselves, and girls who witness violence in the home are more likely to become victims later in life. So it's important that we remember the influence that violence in the home has on children and continuing generations. And then every 9 seconds in the US, a woman is assaulted or beaten. So here's a video kind of demonstrating how someone may enter a marriage not fully knowing the violence that lays ahead.
I vow to make excuses when you humiliate me in public, to forsake my friends and family when you isolate me, and to value myself less when you belittle me. I vow to blame myself when you hit me, and to fear for my safety and the safety of our children, till death do us part.
Don't ignore domestic abuse. Speak now.
And in relationships where violence is present, there is a cycle of violence. It starts with tension building, where the victim feels that they are walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace so that there isn't an explosion. And the abuser usually is more irritable and frustrated, and little things start bothering them. After that phase, we have the explosion phase, where that tension builds to the point of explosion. Usually that is within a large fight with hitting and other physical abuse combined with a lot of verbal abuse. Victims, their response to that is their priority is to protect themselves as well as children if they're involved. And sometimes they'll fight back, and rarely we see that they'll call the police or they'll even leave the relationship. And then after the explosion phase, there's that honeymoon phase where the abuser begs for forgiveness, tries to, win over the victim by buying presents or flowers and promising that they'll change and it'll never happen again. And with that, the victim's response is that of feeling hopeful and happy and believing their abuser that things will change and things will get better. And this cycle of violence is not just within one relationship, but it's also within generations. So it's estimated that 1/3 of abused and neglected children victimize their own children. So that goes back to the statistics we talked about before, where boys and girls who witness abuse and violence in the home are more likely to become abusers themselves as well as victims. And this cycle within a relationship, but as well as within the intergenerational cycles, it becomes more fast and it becomes more severe with more intense consequences. So here's a good example in a video, just how that phase or those phases go together. And here it's emphasized the honeymoon phase, where the husband is trying to make peace with the wife.
Is this how you want me to?
He has no right to put you down,
You are a liar.
but he loves me. He puts down your friends, family, your job.
Shut your mouth.
Bet he's asking where you are again. I better text him back. Otherwise he might get mad, right?
I wanted to surprise you.
Not sure he's safe? Talk to someone who can help.
And some people that is outside the relationship question sometimes why the victims don't leave. And these are some of the things that the victims think. Will I be better off? Can I do it? Okay, I'm going to have enough rewards to offset the cost. That means sometimes living this kind of relationship can be scary for them too. Though I think that I can actually accomplish this. Their fear of losing children, their fear of or being abused, love for the partner. They love the partners and they wish to be together. They believe that things will get better. They are afraid of the negative impact that will have on children if they leave the husband. They are afraid of failure, afraid of what family, friends, community will think about them. They also have to deal with their religious beliefs. Like in our case, we believe that marriage should be eternal. So sometimes it's hard for the victims to leave this relationship. They feel helpless and they feel like nobody and no one can help them, and feels guilty about some of the things that she did wrong. They fear the lack of financial resources. Partner started doing the things that she has been asking for. They see the small changes and they start having hope. They fear that partner will do something to retaliate. They also, sometimes they need just time to plan and prepare to leave. They feel insecure about their competence as a person. They fear the change and they fear being without a mate of a partner. And sometimes they just tired of the whole situation and they cannot react. But some of these victims actually are successful and escape these kind of relationships. And what are some of the things that we observe in the people that can escape from these kind of relationships is that they begin to doubt. They start doubting. When they start to realize, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's not the best thing for me. Maybe he really doesn't love me the way he says. And they see, then they have different turning points. They do a reappraisal, they objective reflections, they'll start reclaiming actions, and at last they can see a paradigm shift where accompanied with a last stride. And these events can be small events like looking the fear of their children, right? When they see the violence, seeing that their children are becoming violent themselves. And this, sometimes the woman can deal with being abused, but they cannot see their children become abused or become abusers too. So I'm gonna show you an example of this.
Where's dinner?
Well, I thought you'd be home a couple of hours ago, and I put everything away, so I did.
What is this? Pizza? What, a pizza?
If you had just called me, I would have known what...
Dinner ready is a pizza.
I didn't know you'd be so late.
Let me ask you something. Is it too much to have dinner waiting when I go home?
Please don't be so loud.
Don't tell me what to do! You shut up!
I thought you'd be home.
I can get pizza at work!
I'm sorry.
here we have our references, and we also have a few extra videos if you want to learn more about violence within the home and how that can tie into the exchange theory. So if you want to just pause and look up these YouTube videos, you're more than welcome to. And with the conclusion of our presentation, we want to ask you 2 questions for the discussion board. You can answer one or both. The first is, what are the red flags of violence to identify before a marriage? And then the second is, how can we best help those who are living in a violent family setting? So thank you so much for tuning into our presentation, and we hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. We're looking forward for seeing your comments. Thank you.